Water is something that all living creatures need, and New Jersey's water infrastructure is not in its best shape. There are many efforts to try and fix it, and of course much money needs to be raised to fix it. Well, joining us to talk about this and some of the other problems that we see at home and at work and everywhere we use water is the program manager for New Jersey Future. We welcome Jane Rosenblatt to the show. Thank you so much for joining us today,
Hi,
Jane.
Mark. Thank you for having me.
Well, I mean, the state's water infrastructure, it's in disrepair. I mean, a lot of people have compared it to the bridges, the roads. I mean, I know that you folks would love to make it your next TTF to raise money. What are the main problems you see with the state's water infrastructure?
New Jersey Future sees three main issues with our water infrastructure right now. The state has 21 cities and towns across the state that have combined sewer and stormwater pipes that dump raw sewage into our water bodies. That includes, locally to here, the Passaic and Hudson rivers. Those pipes can cause backups into community streets, into parks, and in the worst cases, into people's homes. Second, our water pipes are old, they leak, and as many of your audience members know, they break all too frequently.
Yes.
I'm sure you've seen in the news in Hoboken and Jersey City, the water main breaks that are disruptive to traffic, economic recovery for the stores. It's a mess.
Yes, and these water main breaks in Jersey City and Hoboken especially are almost not quite a weekly occurrence, but this time of year it happens a lot. It really is, it's an aging thing and it needs to be, fixed sooner rather than later.
It really puts an economic burden on the communities that have these largest problems.
Now rust, I mean, you think of these aging pipes and everything, rust must be an issue. I mean, you think about the water supply, most of the supplies are perfectly clean, but the water making its way to your office, to your home, to wherever, that's where it tends to pick up rust. Talk about, and also lead, because I know that lead is, in a lot of places, you mentioned these urban areas. How big a problem is the lead issue?
Lead in our drinking water is a huge issue. There's 21 school districts across the state that recently came out and said that they had some instances of lead in their drinking water. And then there's an unknown number of households affected. So it's a huge problem.
Mm-hmm. And what can people do at home as far as if they are worried that lead might be in their water, or if they've been given the word from, a local authority or whomever, what can they do to avoid lead consumption for the short and for the long term?
In the long term, I'd recommend that people contact their water utilities to see what they recommend about testing, because it's different in different types of communities. And then in the short term, the guidance is that if you let the water run for 45 seconds, then you reduce the amount of lead dramatically if there is lead in your pipes.
New Jersey Future, are you rather confident that the next few years, whether the short and the long-term future, do you think that the state will cooperate as far as getting the urgent matters treated right away? Because lead, and I mentioned rust, those are some of the big issues for people at home. Do you think that those problems will be taken care of? Are you optimistic about it?
We're optimistic. We partner with our state and federal governments all the time on these issues, and they're really trying to take a leadership role in addressing these issues. They know that people are concerned. They have their own kids in their schools, and they all live in New Jersey as well for the most part. So they're part of the community as well.
Mm-hmm. And are people, residents, and I guess people that could, do their part, do you find that consumers are, doing this as effectively as they can?
Yeah, I think that as awareness begins to build and as schools are starting to test and as, people hear about it more in the news, they're taking more proactive approaches to finding out if there's lead in their drinking water because they want their families and themselves to be safe. And I think Flint was a real wake-up call for the rest of the country and for New Jersey. So we're starting to take our water infrastructure seriously.
Yeah, because you think about, the winter can be a snowy or a rainy one, and a lot of that water gets lost, but some of it makes its way into reservoirs and whatnot. But it also does run into some of these problems, and it is mostly infrastructure, mm-hmm. especially in the bigger areas.
Yes, yeah. One of the largest water quality issues that we have as a state is our stormwater runoff. That's still the largest part of our water pollution. And there are some innovative practices that are being implemented, including investment in green infrastructure. The cities of Hoboken, Newark, and Camden are really on the forefront of this. And it's a practice that mimics the natural water life cycle in that it captures the stormwater, cleans it, and then recharges it into the aquifer. And then it really does provide a lot of community benefits, including improving public health, creating local jobs, beautifying neighborhoods, and it can even improve property values. So it's a really important thing in our cities and towns across the state.
Certainly. All right. Well, we thank you so much for opening this door for all of us. And I mean, hopefully that you folks at New Jersey Future do see what you need to over the next few years. So we thank you for being our guest today.
Thanks for having me.
Jane Rosenblatt is the program manager of New Jersey Future and plays a major role in New Jersey Waterworks. So everybody, please, if you're concerned about lead or rust in your pipes or anything really to do with water, please make sure you take the proper precautions. I'm Mark Fontes.